Welcome to a Mick, a Mook, and a Mike. Hosted by four-time Emmy-nominated producer Frank Bates and retired New York City firefighter, 9/11 first responder, and Vietnam vet, Billy O'Connor. Today's guests, umpire Joe West and Billy O'Connor's return to stand-up.
My brother Frankie, how you doing, pal? How's things? Good. We're going to have Joe West join us a little bit later on in the show today, but we should just start by talking about your return to the stage.
Return to the stage. One leaving in 5 minutes, so get at it.
Return to the stage in the Hall of Flame. How was your stand-up reappearance?
You know, I had a lot of fun. The reason I really stopped doing it was because when COVID hit.
Yeah, that was your excuse. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because it was. At the time, I was concerned about that shit. You know, when we first started that shit with the COVID, everybody was washing their food and shit.
Yeah. Except Eric.
Well, he was actually, in hindsight, he was right. I mean, he was fucking looking back. It was.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you.
Well,
so
in
much.
hindsight, I mean, you know, everybody kind of overreacted, but there was fucking. I knew about 4 guys that had died from that shit.
Yeah, I knew too.
Yeah, there was people dropping like flies, especially guys that were older, like yourself.
As a matter of fact, I passed away 2 years ago.
Nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed.
That's the old line about Silent Cal Coolidge, you know, when they said Calvin Coolidge died and Dorothy Parker said, how could they tell? Silent Cal. Yeah, but I had a good time. It was, I really did stop because of COVID, because most of the comedy's done in cellars, no windows, you know, I was fucking 75, 72.
You weren't that well, yeah.
I was 71. I was 3 blocks from there.
3 blocks.
So I did stop because of that. But then once I stopped, and then I was in the mountains, I wasn't going to drive down LA for 10 minutes on stage time, 5 minutes, 3-hour drive. Anyway.
But you never know who could see you.
Yeah, but you're doing open mics pretty much. I mean, and it's not like they're giving you a feature at the Comedy Store, because I mean, I got to tell you, I thought I was good when I was doing comedy. I enjoyed it. I was good. I was funny, but I was dirty. And like I told you a lot of times,
I saw you. You were great that night. I saw you in the fucking valley. You were unbelievable.
It was a pub. It was a bar.
Yeah,
it was a
They're all like 30-year-old people laughing at your dick jokes. Yeah, and you were hilarious.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I like doing that kind of humor, because when you're a creature of the streets, I mean, that, when you talk, every time you talk, the word fuck comes out of your mouth, one way or another, whether it's an adjective, and whatever way you're going to use it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I book, and when you're on stage, of course, you're always a little more amped up, you're a little more nervous. And I like to revert back to, where I'm natural, where you actually feel like you're not memorizing jokes and just spewing them out. You want to tell in your own dialogue. That's the language of the streets. I mean, but you can't do that in a lot of comedy clubs. You certainly can't do it on television. Right. So I mean, who the fuck's going to see it?
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm doing a show now for Netflix, and I'm doing Night Court for NBC, and NBC is so puerile in the way they make you speak, because everything's got to be PG.
Right.
And on a Netflix show, they're saying fuck every other word.
Right. Because that's how people really talk.
And it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's laughs. So, if you put, fuck into a beautiful actress's mouth, she gets a laugh. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's how people talk. I mean, I read one time Elmore Leonard. Elmore Leonard, you're familiar with him. Get Shorty. Everybody told me he's the king of dialogue. When I'm studying to be a writer, I'm trying how to be a writer. I said, well, this guy's the king of dialogue. I got to read him. And he's talking about 2 cops. The particular thing I read with Get Shorty, or whatever it was that Elmore Leonard had written. 2 cops are for 40 minutes. They're in a cop car, and nobody says the word fuck. And I said, well, this is ridiculous. This is not real dialogue. Well, you're going to get 2 street cops that are not going to say the word fuck, in 40 minutes. I mean, it's ridiculous. You probably couldn't get to a dinner at their dinner table with their family that a fuck wouldn't slip out.
Unless there were kids there.
Yeah, and even if there was, one might slip out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a part of the vernacular. Anyway, I was told, Tommy Brockett called me up, was a friend of mine in Phoenix, a retired firefighter, and he said that the Hall of Flame is doing a benefit.
The Hall of what?
Hall of Flame, yes. It's a museum.
A firefighter museum?
Yeah, of all old fire trucks. And they even took a couple of trucks from the World Trade Center that were all collapsed, and they put one of them collapsed, and they restored one of them, but one of them was crushed beyond, and apparently the people who are philanthropic about this Hall of Fame thing. Philanthropic. They're philanthropists. Was the Wrigley family. Mm-hmm. So there's big money. I mean, a fucking fire engine. Imagine what a fire engine costs. And they got like 15 of them on display in this Hall of Fame. Anyway, in Phoenix. Great organization. They do a lot of good work. So Tommy said, look, they're going to do this benefit. They got 3 comics. They got 1 comic. And this guy, Stan Chen, and he mentioned you as he worked with you one time. I said, I worked with Stan about 6 years ago. I said, I think he opened for me one time. And he said that you're a firefighter, but you got to do clean. I said, okay, I really don't do clean, but I mean, it's firefighters. It's a targeted audience. So
yeah, it's firefighter stories.
Exactly. And coming out of not doing comedy for 5 years, 4 years, whatever, 3 blocks or 2 blocks or 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was, I said, you know what? This is an easy audience to break into because all I got to do is charm them. I don't even got to be funny, really. Just be entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
And it went real well. I had a lot of fun. I did about 45 minutes.
Well, did you do new material or did you do versions of your old material or what you do?
That was the challenge. When I first started comedy, and I didn't notice, but to get an hour, your first hour, it might take 2.5 years to get an hour of solid material. After you practice it, tried it, condensed it, and then, of course, you're always taking what you already did, modifying it, cutting it down more so you can get more good stuff in there, And then they have what they call the solid 10. You can't go anywhere without that solid 10. If you got a solid 10 minutes, then that 10 minutes is going to crush. No matter how bad things are going, you can always go back to your solid 10 and you can get through a set, And it takes you a long time to get to solid 10. Anyway, yes, I had to rewrite. I was trying to shoot for an hour because I thought it was just going to be this guy, Stan Chen, who was an airline pilot, and he's a comic in Phoenix, and he was going to be the MC, and then he'd call me up and I would do an hour. So I said, well, I'm going to do an hour, and I ain't been on stage in a long time. I'm going to write like a one-man show thing, and that's easy for me, right? Because I could just say, well, grew up in the Bronx, family of alcoholics, Vietnam, gambling, and then go into firefighting and close with a firefighting set and tell all funny firefighter stories, right? For 20 minutes, and I said, I'm home free. So I had about maybe 20 minutes of material that I could use, and it was familiar to me. So when I hit them spots, I could skate through them, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't have to really strain to memorize for an hour, anything. And the rest of it was just stories. But I knew that I was having a good set because whenever I was telling a story, and if you're doing an hour set, those 3-minute stories, those 4-minute stories, they eat up. Yeah.
Because the laugh spread.
Yeah, and it eats up some time, and you could do an hour. And when I was doing those stories, it was dead silent in the room. It was like 50 people drinking and, at a comedy show. And anytime I wanted to do a story, it would just get dead silent. And I said, well, I got it.
And this was a benefit, right?
Yeah.
So how many people were there?
I think it was only 50 people. It was a small club. But they were charging $75 a ticket.
Yeah, well, it was a benefit.
Yeah. I mean, I would pay $75 to see me. I would pay $75 to see me jump rope naked. $75. But but I had a lot of fun. It was good, and I did clean. And
well, Derek, we got a couple of clips from that show. Derek, can you run the first one?
Doesn't know no ethnicity. Doesn't know any nationality. I was Kenneth Barr. I owned a couple of bars at Queens, in the Bronx. And this guy asked me to do him a favor. Ken Barr is an Italian restaurant for the weekend. So I'm only out there for the weekend. As soon as I walk in the door, the guy tells me, now listen. Under no circumstances, give the chef anything to drink. It's an alcohol. I'm back there for the weekend, but I get it. No sooner I get behind the bar, the chef comes out. Hey, Paisan, I need a glass of red wine for the gravy. I give him a glass of red wine for the gravy. Of course, this goes on every 15 minutes. Red wine for the gravy, red wine for the gravy. By the end of the night, he stumbles out of the kitchen. He goes, hey, Paisan, screw him. Give me a gin and tonic for the gravy. But for my Italian friends out there, there's nothing like having an Italian friend if you go to the hospital. If you're unfortunate enough to go to the hospital, you know your Italian friend is either going to visit you or he's going to at least call. And it's not so much that he's concerned about your health. He just wants to gamble on your room number. And whenever Italians give advice, I love the way Italians give advice. They always qualify. They give you the advice, and as soon as they get done, they go, just in case that the advice they give you might ruin your whole bloody life, they go, well, what the hell are you? It's like you get out of jail free card. It's like if you say to an Italian guy, with all due respect. I'm telling you, and a high-headed kid in the room, with all due respect, you can say anything after that. Not for nothing, I think your sister's a bit of a Bhutan.
So very relaxed.
Yeah, very relaxed. I felt very, very surprisingly relaxed on stage because, well, I would be anyway. I don't know about with other comics, but if I get out of the gate fast, if my first 2 jokes hit, then it's sort of like catching your first pass playing football or something, you know, or getting your first hit playing baseball. You know, it's like it loosens you up. But I had that bit. Was just an add-on the Italian bit at the because I had just done about 12 minutes on Irish drunks. One joke I had written for it, and I had written this joke because it was a variation of a joke that I had heard. And the joke I had heard was around Christmas time, and guys were saying, you know, when did you first start believing in Santa Claus? I said, oh, yeah, but I was heartbroken when I first found out there was no Santa Claus. I couldn't believe it. I was so upset. I got right into my car, I drove to my bar, and I got drunk, you know? So I heard that joke, and I said, you know, that's a good twist ending, you know. So I wrote this joke, and I did it right before I switched into the Italian thing. It was about my son's first drink. And I said, this is a big deal when you're Irish. You know, you take your son for his first drink.
Was he 11?
This is a big deal. I took him down to the pub for his first drink, and I said, you know, what should I get? 2 shots Irish whiskey. I said, just the thing. So I got 2 shots of Irish whiskey. I said, he wouldn't go near it. He was like this. His mouth was like this, like it was poison. So what can I do? I paid for it. I drank both shots of Irish whiskey. I said, well, maybe blackberry brandy. It's sweeter. It's a little softer. 2 shots of it. He wouldn't touch that either. Same shit. He was like this, like it was poison. I had to drink both of them, right? So then 2 pints of Guinness, same stuff. 2 glasses of wine, same thing. By the time I left that bar, I was so drunk, I could barely push a stroller back up the hill. And that was a variation of that other jokes, but it was mine.
Yeah, it was yours.
I just
twisted it around. Brilliant interpretation.
Yeah, I just twisted it around. So I had done about 15 minutes on drunks, and that was like. See if I had the way I had it memorized. I opened up with 2 short jokes about Jenny, about my wife being younger than me, right? Because it was just clean, and there were 2 jokes I did, and then I went to in my mind I had to memorize Bronx, and I did about 10 minutes on the Bronx. Then the Irish thing, which was the drunks, I did 10 minutes on that, and then gambling, I did 10 minutes on that, which was big, so that was on my mind. Go from Bronx to Irish to gambling, and then firefighters. And advice, and then close with my old pussy joke, you know, which was, I did that at the end because I had just explained that we break each other's balls. And I said, well, everybody asked me to do clean, so fuck you guys, you're firefighters, I'm going to break your balls and do one dirty joke. You know?
So what's the old pussy joke?
The old, you know, the crawling pussy.
Why don't you tell us?
It's like, well.
You got secrets from...
No.
You got secrets from our audience? All of a sudden you're shy?
No. Actually, this was. They say when you're starting anyway, and not when you're a guy like Lopez or Rickles or something. When you're starting out, you want to open up with your second best joke. Again, because you want to get out of the gate fast. You want that thing to laugh. And whoever left the stage before you probably left with his best joke. So people have got that guy in his head, and you want to get their attention. You don't want to, as soon as you come on, everybody goes up and starts going to the men's room. So you want to come out of the gate fast. So your second best joke. But your closer is always your best joke. You know, that's the way it should be. I mean, that's the way I was taught. There's other guys in different schools of thought, and they flip it. Anyway, my best joke was always the pussy. And the way it goes is like, it drives me crazy, the way corporations and Hollywood, they give you all this bullshit that men are mad for pussy. And that's absolute bullshit. No man is mad for pussy. That's crazy. That's bullshit. They sell everything with pussy. No man is mad for pussy. There's nothing sexy about the organ. That's not what makes us nuts. I've seen 1,000 of them. 500 Bangkok alone. There's nothing sexy about the organ. It's what's around the organ. That's what men are nuts about. It's women. We love women. The way you walk, the way you talk, a pretty face, the way you put your hair up when you come out of the shower. The Napier, it's women. We love women. Now, to prove my point, if that door opened right now and an unshaved, unattached vagina just crept into the fucking door, unshaved and unattached, and just started inching its way towards the stage. Picture it moving sort of the way a horse's mouth does when it munches oats, you know? And I'm not talking about these bullshit ball pussies that these chicks are pushing out there right now. And these Hitler mustaches or any of these landing strips. No. I'm talking about a good old-fashioned mat from my day. You know, one you can wipe your feet on. You know what I mean? Picture that baby munching its way across the floor. Now tell the truth, guys. Are you guys going to get turned on? What are you going to want to hit it with a fucking shovel? What the fuck is that? I don't know, but kill that thing. So I used to do that joke and say, you know, don't let that thing get out of here. Speaking out of here, I'm out of here. Thanks for, you know, that was my closer. And I always got a big laugh, you know. And the more people and the more dramatic I could make it, I stretch it out, you know, give the look at the stage like, what the fuck is that coming, you know? And so that was my closer. So I did that last night. I don't think I've ever done a set in 5 years. I didn't close with that joke. I did it not last night, but at the gig. And I said, like, I had just done this whole thing about firefighters breaking each other balls, you know, breaking balls. And I said, since that's you all firefighters, and I told you I was going to do clean. And I said, every time I told you guys in the past I was going to do clean, you'd always come out with your wives, and halfway through the thing, your wives would be like this with their head down, like, you know, because I always revert back to the unmistakable mark of the gunner from where I come from. You know? So I said, but you know, but this time I did a whole clean set, but I got to leave the stage with this joke, and you know, so I did. But the rest of it was clean, and I don't have 45 minutes. I never put. It turned out I had a lot more than I thought. I cut about an hour and 20 minutes of clean that I cut down to 45 minutes.
Well, let's see another clip of your set at the Hall of Flame.
Hall of Flame, yes. Over here. I was born, obviously, at an early age, obviously. I was born in County Cork. I came to this country by boat through Ellis Island in 1950. And I swear to God, if I knew the country was this good, I would have swam it all. It's been very kind to me, America. But everybody in my family, everybody in the old country is dead from alcohol. Everyone. I mean, alcohol doesn't run in my family, it gathers. I asked my mother one time, I said, Ma, what about having Uncle Dermot? She said, the drink got him, sure. Cirrhosis. I said, what about Uncle Nels? The drink got him too, sure. Cirrhosis. I said, what about Uncle Eugene? She said, the drink. I said, cirrhosis. She said, no, not at all. She didn't get run over by a Guinness truck. He didn't got him just the same. I know, I went from there. And then I was running the whole family thing, you know, and I told my mother one time that that a friend of hers had died, and she said to me, Fitzmaurice, dead? Is he? But he didn't drink at all. She couldn't believe there was another, that you could die from something on a cirrhosis. So I was doing a whole bit about cirrhosis, and I said, my father got it. I mean, it runs in my family. My father got a DWI on his way back from an AA meeting. You know, my grandmother, I said, Lord have mercy on my grandmother, she lived to be 96 years old in Ireland, and she drank a pint of gin every single day of her life. Damn. She was a tough woman. And she would have made 97 too, but she got stabbed to death in a bar fight. Tough woman.
Tough woman.
Tough woman.
Tough woman, I tell you. Tough woman.
Tough woman, I tell you. And then I did the joke about my son's first drink. And then, of course, I went from there into, let's see, if that was the Irish, then was the gambling. I did about 15 minutes on gambling.
Why don't you tell me a little about your mother?
Legitimately about my mother?
Yeah.
Oh, my mother was a tough woman. A really hard woman, a very religious, rosary every day type woman, you know. And of course, The only two things she was praying for. My father was a lost cause. The only two things she was praying for was her two sons, Timmy and me. And she had a lot to pray for. We were both of us were. Matter of fact, Timmy made me look like an altar boy. Lord have mercy on him. He didn't make it. I mean, if he was around today, I doubt he'd be around today. He was going to burn out one way or the other. But my mother was, like I said, a tough woman. And, because of the Catholic thing, my father was out of his fucking mind. My father was, besides being a drunk, he was an abusive drunk. And, I always had a roof over my head. I always had 3 meals a day, and thanks to my mother and the way she managed things. But my father was really like, I don't think in Ireland, they even, from that era, I was born in 1948. So the era before me, let's say anybody born in the 20s like my father was, they didn't know from psychiatrists or anything like that. So they always self-medicated. You did whatever quiet the horses in your head. So he drank. And he drank, he drank hard. He drank whiskey and beer. That was his drink. Boilermaker, And so my mother put up with a lot of shit from him. Too much shit, I guess. But the old stigma of being, I remember waking up and having the priest in the house, because my mother had a black eye and say, I can't live like this. And I'd be like 4-year-old kid, One day my mother was crying at 8 o'clock in the morning in the kitchen and there was a priest there, And I really didn't trust those bastards too much either, But my mother was a saint, I'm sure that if there is a heaven, that she's up there waiting, know whether I get there or not. I won't know anybody. All my friends will be in hell.
Vinny Blondie won't be there.
Vinny B will be waiting for me in hell. It's not too bad down here, believe it. You want to play a number? That's funny too. When I did that joke, I did a gambling joke, and I did the thing about the Italians. It's good to have an Italian friend if you're in a hospital because they're either going to visit you or call you, and it's because they want to gamble on your room number. And I specifically said gamble because we don't say that. You say play a number, but that's a New York thing.
Right.
And I said, I don't think play a number, they're even going to get it. So when I said it, I changed it from play a number to gamble on your room number, right? So I be specific. And I was shocked that joke hit. Because I usually don't go on stage unless I've tried out a joke 5 or 6 times at open mics and stuff. But I didn't have the luxury this time. So I had to say, well, this is going to be cold. 20 minutes of it, maybe 20 minutes of it I had done before. So I had that. I said, I know those jokes hit. They'll be all right. They won't be great, but they'll be all right. But the 25 minutes that I written, I never tried out before. And I was shocked when that joke hit. Because I figured maybe 1/3 of the people would get it.
Yeah,
it's a regional joke,
Well, my grandmother used to play the numbers. Yeah, she used to play the numbers with the bread man. We had a guy who came around and delivered bread like they delivered milk now in the old days. And she had a book of dreams. So if you had a dream about becoming a millionaire, you look under millionaire and it'd be 327. Right. And you would play that number. If you would have a dream about winning a horse race, it would say horse race 767. And she'd play that number. And she was pretty lucky. My mother used to get pissed off. She goes, that goddamn Kate hit the number again. Yeah.
And she'd probably play a quarter, right? Like a quarter, 50 cents.
Maybe a nickel.
Yeah.
A nickel a dime.
And the bread man was making more money from his numbers than he was from delivering bread.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. That's a big deal, the numbers. It used to be a huge deal in New York. Matter of fact, Vinny Bondi, who we've had on the show, he had 4 number shops in Harlem. That's what they gave when he came out after doing his bit. He did a bit for a wise guy. And when he came out, the wise guy gave him 4 number shops in Harlem to earn, and he was making, obviously you want a number shop better to have one in Harlem than in Beverly Hills. Because everybody's looking for a long shot. Everybody's looking to cash in, If your life is fucked up, you're looking to play a number and hope to God you change your dream, But the numbers themselves, everybody played the numbers, It used to be the last 3 numbers of the Power Mutual.
Yeah. So you talk about the mob. I heard a story once. I guess we could talk to Tony O, and Tony O could verify it. But there was a time in Elmsford, New York, or somewhere in Westchester County, that the mob set up a dinner theater, and they put
Westchester Dinner Theater.
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Sinatra played there a couple of times. I saw him there.
Yeah. So anyway, the place got taken down, and they had a manager there who took the rap for the mob guys, and he did 3 or 4 years in hard time. When he came out, his reward was he became Sinatra's manager.
Are we talking about Tony O?
No. This was way before Tony O.
That's what they gave.
That's what they gave him. They gave him. He became Sinatra's manager.
Yeah, you got to take care of the guy who did this bit. You know what I mean, for sure. But they gave him 4 number shops in Harlem, Vinny. And I used to say to Vinny all the time, I says, "That's all cash, man." He says, "Yeah." He says, "I pick up about $8,000-9,000 a day." This is back in 72, 73. I said, "Well, what are you doing with all that money walking around Harlem? You're a white guy. You're walking around Harlem. What are you got a briefcase? What are you fucking nuts?" He said, "I put it in a paper bag, a brown paper bag, and then I skip." And I put my tongue out like, there's nobody bothers me. They think this is some wackadoo. He says, I might have $30,000-40,000 in cash in the fucking bag.
So did you get motivation to go back to doing stand-up?
You know what? I had fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could still do it. And again, a lot of the stuff I wrote was Cole, so that was kind of interesting to get on stage and doing Cole stuff, But I got to tell you, it knocked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Just to fly into Phoenix, doing the gig, and flying back the next day. I was about 2 days later. I was still tired.
Wow.
So I think it's if you especially if you're going to go on a road and take it and do what comics have to do, go to fucking Portland, go to Omaha, go to Iowa for the weekend. Maybe you're getting $2 or $3 grand. I don't know what the headliners are getting now. Maybe $4 grand if they're not famous. And it's a grind, man. I don't know if I could do it at this stage. I don't think I have that kind of, you have to work it out. If you get used to it, like anything else, I mean, you get used to it. You're not going to go out and try to run a marathon without having to jog 5 miles first. You got to build up to it. I think I still like to do it, but I would definitely do clean from now on. I mean, I would just sacrifice. I think I'm funny or dirty.
And close with the pussy joke.
I close with the close with the pussy joke because I couldn't give up that joke.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
That's what.
Well, hey Derek, do you want to get Joe West on for us?
Hey, I tried to get through that fucking Barbie thing. I watched about 3 minutes of it.
I didn't watch it.
I swear to God, I think it was an insult to intelligence. It was fucking unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe that thing grossed $1 billion in this country.
What is that?
Barbie.
Oh.
I watched 3 minutes of it. I said, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is really an insult. This is like.
The young kids love it.
I can't imagine how anybody. And I tried to get through that Sons of Anarchy. I got it, as far as I got. I stuck with it. Like I got as far as when they went to Ireland. They were going to take on the IRA. The 18 bikers. I said, but this is fucking ridiculous. It's the Irish Republican Army. You're talking about an army. You're going to 18 bikers are going to go do what they want in Ireland.
Speaking of the Irish Republican Army, how are you, my friend?
I didn't know Joe was an up and under guy, an IRA guy, an up and under with the explosives.
I'm doing great. I exploded on the back nine today.
What'd you have?
It was ugly.
It was ugly.
I think I was lucky to break 50.
Well, Tiger's son had a 12 on one hole. So
I beat him on that hole.
How orange is that shirt, by the way?
This is one of Rita's Hall of Fame shirts. Where she gets them in the golf tournament when she lets me play with her at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. So it's actually a cardinal red. I think because Stan Musial started the tournament, that's they've always kind of catered to him. So that's why it's color.
That's cardinal red. It looks like orange to me.
Well, you're colorblind and I'm colorblind.
It's
so
red.
I gotta you gotta trust him. He says it's red. Believe it's red. You're colorblind, right?
It's red, Joe.
That's red?
Yeah.
How could that be red?
People have been telling me I'm blind for 44 years. So. This picture is 3 blind mice.
You're right. I ain't trusting you either. That fucking thing's probably yellow. You don't know what color it is. You're blind. You're an umpire.
50 on the back nine?
I don't think it was 50, but it was close. It was really ugly.
Wow.
So how you been? How's your year going? We haven't seen you in about a month.
Well, you guys have been hiding from me. I went to Jim McMahon's Super Bowl golf tournament.
Yeah.
And it was every cannabis dealer in the world was there. When you walked in to check in, you got stoned. They had a tequila room, they had a bourbon room, and they had the whole fourth floor. Every room started with 420, and I had to ask somebody what 420. Evidently, that's the cannabis holiday for all time is 420. I didn't know that. I mean, I don't smoke dope, but they sure did.
Jim McMahon's. I got to write that tournament down. That sounds like one you want to catch.
Who was there?
Well, everybody from Goose Gossage to Greg Maddox. There was dozens of football players there. The only one I really knew was Jake Plummer, but there were a lot of football players there. And you know what? I didn't realize Jim McMahon was on 2 Super Bowl teams.
Yes, he was on the Chargers, wasn't he?
He was on the '85 team with the Bears that they won, and I think he was the backup with Favre with the Packers when they won.
Oh yeah, I was going to say with the Packers or with the Chargers, because
I don't think it was the Chargers. I think it was the Packers.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know he was on 2 Super Bowl teams.
So is Jim got all his marbles?
Yeah, he seems to have all his faculties there. You know who was really funny there was John Ashton, the guy that played Sergeant Taggart in Beverly Hills Cop.
Uh-huh.
He said, I played in Beverly Hills Cop 1 and I played in Beverly Hills Cop 2. He said, but I didn't like the script in 3, so I wasn't in that. But I'm going to be in Beverly Hills Cop 4, and it's going to be a blockbuster. I said, why is that? He says, because I'm not Sergeant Taggart anymore. I'm Chief Taggart.
Oh, shit.
And I said, well, that just tells you how messed up Beverly Hills is.
So who was in Vegas, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I said that already. Did they fly out?
Yep.
Wow. Rita too?
They flew everybody. No, Rita didn't go. She didn't want to go. She said it's the guy thing. You should go and get out of the house. So, but, yeah, it was a fun tournament. In fact, I played with 2 of the sponsors, and Tim Lawler, left-handed pitcher, and he can kill it. And I made every putt from everywhere, and we won by 1 shot.
Wow! Of course you did. He's Joe West. Lawler, the San Diego pitcher, the lefty.
Yep. And he killed it. And you know what? The one guy in our group hit it further than he did. So we were in good shape. The last hole was a par 5, and it was like right at 500 yards, and we hit driver 800 into it.
Wow! I'm guessing they didn't use your drive.
No, they didn't use mine.
You were putting lights out, though. Putting lights out. That's just the same amount of strokes.
Yeah.
Wow, 8 iron in 500 yards, huh?
Did you stay for the game?
No, I came back on Saturday before the game. The golf tournament was on Friday. The first night was a Jaworski Ditka cigar extravaganza where all the food and the booze was free. And but when I ran into Goose Gossage and Raleigh Fingers, they said, let's go back to the hotel. It's too cold because it was outdoors. And even the golf tournament, it was like 48 degrees when we played, so it was really miserable. But we had a good time. It was a good time.
Great. What else have you been doing?
Not much of anything. I'm finished my therapy on my knee replacement, so I'm done there. And everything seems to be okay. Rita's playing almost every day. We're playing in a wine and nine tomorrow, where the couples play a 2-person scramble, and you play 9 holes, and then you go in and drink wine and have hors d'oeuvres. That's not
bad.
It's a dangerous tournament. What's the deal with the Phoenix Open? You guys tell me. That's like a raucous thing. What's going on with that thing? The Phoenix Open. Everybody goes nuts at that thing. Everybody gets drunk.
They have that one hole that's in a theater, and it's a par 3. And it got so big that everybody wanted to be there so they could cheer like it was a football game or something. And they're getting kind of ruckus and rowdy in the PGA. I think the players are asking them to throttle back a little bit because it's as much fun as it was when it started. It's getting to be ugly because they're getting too many people that are overserved.
Yeah, they ran out of beer. I know a guy who was out there working at the Phoenix Open. He said they actually ran out of beer. Now, how do you run out of beer when you're on an event like that? You know there's going to be people drinking beer left and right. I mean, it's like running out of beer on Paddy's Day.
They underestimated, believe me.
Yeah.
Have you ever played that course, Joe?
No, I never played that one.
I played it once, and when I got to the 16th hole, without any bleachers there, without any stands there, I said, "What the fuck is this?" They said, "This is the 16th hole." I said, "This is the 16th hole, the famous 16th hole." It just looked like 165-yard par 3.
Well, that's what it is.
I know. I know, but you take away all of the surroundings and all of the bleachers and everything, and just another hole.
Yeah, I took my brother to Doral before Trump bought it, and the 18th hole at Doral, there's a plaque there that says the hardest hole on the PGA Tour, and he tapped in for a 5, and he said, "This hole ain't that hard." I said, "It's a par 4." He said, "Oh."
So now you're embarking on your second year of retirement. You missing spring training at all?
No. You know, I didn't like spring training there at the end because the players only play like 3 innings and then they leave. And then you have the AA catchers and the AA pitchers, and it's not fair to the guys that are big league umpires that you have to work with minor league players or guys that are seeing if they can play another position. So I got away from enjoying spring training. I didn't enjoy the fact that all the games are in the daytime. You could go to dinner and mingle with the other umpires, but for the most part, spring training is a chore, and I can see where the players didn't like it because they didn't want to play with the guy from A-ball who can't pitch, and they didn't, most of the ejections you have in spring training are guys trying to get kicked out of the game because they don't want to be there.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Really, I hear you.
Wait a minute. Let me ask a question about this. You're telling me that these minor league players, so players below the top level, are that bad?
Well, you're looking at a guy who they think can throw 100 miles an hour, and they want him to pitch, and he has no idea where he's going to throw it.
Yeah.
So it's not safe for anybody when you put a guy in like that. I actually kicked a guy out one time. It was one of Girardi's pitchers, and I kicked him out after he hit 4 batters. And Girardi came out and said, "He's not throwing at him." I said, "I know he's not." I said, "But he doesn't know where it's going, and I'm not going to let him hurt anybody." He said, "That's not your decision to make." I said, "No, it's yours, and you didn't make it, so I'm making it."
So let me ask you a question, Joe. This is going to air probably 10 days after we shoot it today. So maybe it'll be moot by then. But what's going on with Snell, Bellinger, and Montgomery? I mean, I know they're all Boras clients. Why haven't they signed yet? And they may be signed by the time this airs. But still, I want to just ask you, because fucking Snell, he pitches 5 1/3 innings a game and he wants $285 million. What the hell is that?
Well, that's having a good agent because he's not worth that kind of money because of what you said. He can only pitch 5 innings. If you remember when Nolan Ryan took over the operating controls of the Texas Rangers, those guys, they tried to pitch 9 innings, all their guys, because they were trying to emulate Nolan Ryan. And here's a guy that made a living pitching into the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and these guys were trying to establish themselves as the same type of pitcher he was. Today, with the agents the way they are, they don't want them throwing more than 100 pitches. when they get to 100, they want their client out of the game, and that's taken away a lot of what's going on. I mean, you don't have the guy anymore. Like when I can remember times that you go out and tell Tom Seaver, "What do you think?" and he'd say, "I'm done. I'll stay in here if you want me to, but I'm done." But he didn't take himself out. He made the manager take him out, and sometimes the manager would leave him in there because he was afraid his bullpen wasn't as good as a tired Tom Seaver. But the point being, these guys today, they're just trying to get their 100, 110 pitches in and get out of there. You know, I can remember Jim Palmer asked me one day in spring training, because he was sitting with two minor league pitchers, and he was already announcing for the Orioles. He said, "Joe, what do you think of a pitch count?" Now, coming from Palmer, this is a pretty good question because he pitched for Weaver, and Weaver didn't believe in the pitch count. He believed his guys out there with 150 pitches. And so he said, what do you think of a pitch count? I said, "Give me a number." And he said, 110. And I said, "If Tom Seaver threw 110 pitches, we're in the 11th inning." He said, "Okay, I get it." And what I was trying to say is, when you throw strikes, you don't throw over 100 pitches. You know, Randy Jones one day was in spring training. They told him, "You got 90 pitches." On the 89th pitch of the game was over.
Yeah, I think Randy Jones or Maddox threw a complete game with 85 pitches.
Sure, yeah, and because of 2 strikes.
Yeah, and one of the things Rod told me, he says, you watch how many 0-2 counts go to 3-2, because these guys start nibbling and they miss them to plate, and they try to get you out on waste pitches, and all of a sudden the count is 3-2. Why don't you just go after them on 0-2 like they used to?
Well, here's the funny thing. Rod didn't touch on this. You know, right in the middle of Rod's career, they had a rule they put in called the designated hitter, which has been a horrible rule since the very first day. In fact, Ron Fairley told Joe Morgan, he said, all that does is give the pitcher carte blanche to throw whoever he wants to because he doesn't have to bat. Mm-hmm. And the point being that if you saw a National League pitcher that threw more than 9 pitches to the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitter, somebody fouled the ball off. I used to say that about Seaver all the time. If he threw more than 9 pitches to the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitter, one of them fell off a 2-strike pitch because the National League would go right after the hitters. Whereas in the American League, you didn't have a sure out in the lineup like they did with the pitcher in the National League. So they would pitch the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitter like they're Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, and Jimmy Fox. And that's why the American League game was 15 minutes longer than the National League game. And now they put the DH in both leagues and mess them both up. But and I used to tell Torrey and LaRussa that, you know. And when I first told Torrey that, he looked at me like I had 2 heads, and then he goes, "Oh, you're right." Because, you know, if you go after the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitter, then you're out of there. But they don't do that anymore. And you're right. 0-2, and now it's 3-2. Well, it took you 4 pitches to throw 1 more strike. Something's wrong. So I agree with you totally.
Really slows up the game. I mean, it's incredible how it slows up the game. The nibbling and the. I mean, Gibson would just pitch, right? Gibson would just go out there and just strike, right? That was just.
Well, you act like I was there when Gibson was there.
Well, I wasn't there either. That's for sure.
But you were at Elon throwing touchdown passes, so I'm sure you saw Gibson pitch.
Well, I did. I did see him on TV. Yes, I did. And he was quite the pitcher. And Bitch tells a story all the time about his first at bat against him. Have I ever told you that story?
I don't think so. Tell it again.
Yeah.
He was when Johnny Bench first came up, he was the cat's meow. He was going to be the next superstar in baseball. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And you got to realize, here's this boy from Oklahoma that when he grew up, he would only watch 1 baseball game a week because there was only 1 game on television that week, and it was the Saturday game of the week. And his dad would walk by the TV screen while he's watching, and he'd say, "I can hit this guy. I can hit this guy. And 3 outs later, his dad would walk by when the other pitcher was out, and he said, I can hit this guy. So Johnny grew up thinking his dad could hit anybody. So the first year he comes to the big leagues, he's just a youngster. He's about 20 years old, I think. And he gets a hit. He gets 2 hits the first day. The second day's an off day, which it always was in case the first day's rained out because it's going to be a sellout the first day. The second game, he gets 1 hit. And the third game, he gets 2 more hits. So he's got 5 hits in the first 3 games, and he's living up to the hype. So they go to St. Louis. And who's on the mound? Bob Gibson. He said the first pitch came in on it. It got on me so fast, he said, I just flinched. He said, I didn't take the bat off much. He said the second pitch was a slide on the outside corner, strike 2. And the third pitch was just as nasty. And he said, I just kind of waved at it. He said, I went back to the dugout laughing. And Fred Hutchinson was his manager, and he started screaming at him. He said, Bench, what's so damn funny? He said, I don't think Dad can hit this guy.
That's the great story. That's the way I heard it. That's the way Johnny tells it. That's a great story.
He was an assassin. He was just unbelievable, Gibson. He just unbelievable pitcher. Money pitcher, boy.
Wow. I don't think Dad could hit him.
Who was the best you ever saw? I mean, your opinion.
I usually tell people that Tom Seaver was Greg Maddux with about 10 more miles an hour. Wow. You know, Seaver, and I didn't have Gibson, but I had Seaver. And Steve Carlton was nasty, but he was getting older as I came up. And Randy Johnson was tough hitter. One of the funniest pitchers was this guy, John Montefiusco.
The Count.
Giants, right?
The Count.
He said, I wish they'd put that designated hitter in our league. And I said, why is that? And he said, because our designated hitter would be better than theirs. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, because their designated hitter's got a bat against me.
That's pretty funny. Well, Joe, you've done it again. Thanks so much for being on the show. You're always welcome here anytime, even though you can't get Jerry Koosman to come on the podcast.
I want to have a little talk with him. I got to figure out what that.
I said, Joe, you know,
I think you set him up.
I said, Joe, you send me an email chain with Jerry Koosman on it. I'd like to get Jerry Koosman on the show. Joe says, I'll ask him.
All right. Well,
he's not scheduled yet. He turned us down.
Really?
Well, here's what you do. You send me a link to this, and I'm going to send him the link. So you're asking him now officially from the air.
Actually, if you want to go, we can just cut a little segment right now, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, that'll be great. That'll be super.
You want to just do it right now?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Hey, who's this? Joe.
Koosman, that's Koosman. He's got a red shirt on.
Hey, Joe, can we get Jerry Koosman on the show?
I'm going to ask him for you. How about that?
Wow.
That's all you get.
That would be great.
I was a big Met fan when I was a kid.
Jerry Koosman, got almost 240 wins. He's a great pitcher.
Yeah.
We'd love to have him, but, if we asked him, he would say no for sure.
You need to ask somebody who can't say no.
Remember what Dana Pump said. All depends on who's making the ask.
Who's the asker?
Who's the asker?
There's the man.
So
I'm certainly going to ask him for you, and I hope he responds.
Great.
He's good.
Great.
Listen, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of Billy's remark the other day about gambling on steroids.
Remind us both, because neither of us remember.
Remind us both.
You made this statement. Your statement was, let me see if I got this straight. They don't have the guy with the most home runs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right. That's true.
They don't have the guy with the most base hits in the Hall of Fame. And they don't have the umpire with the most games in the Hall of Fame. And Billy said, well, Joe, what'd you do, gamble on steroids? I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that.
Use it, brother.
Yeah, it's yours. Make believe you wrote it.
Oh, good. It's funny. He was talking about it was like the big man tournament was like a 420 comedy fest.
Yeah.
I went to a 420 comedy fest, right? So I'm the headliner, right? So it's a 420. I figure it's a pot festival, so I can say whatever the hell I want, right? I'm on stage, and I'm opening up the thing. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's about 300 people there. Here's the comic. I open up, and I'm saying, so I got my hand underneath this chick's dress, right? And I'm fucking about, and the guy who booked me is tugging me. Like I'm on the stage, and I said, no, my mic's all right. I'm on, I said, so I'm comedian is brought out, and he's tugging me again. I'm saying, well, the mic is on. It's a clean show.
Hey, tell Joe this story about South Carolina.
What about? I want to be a hooker.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I know that's a long story.
Well, he's got time. Tell him.
I was in South Carolina, right? And I'm going on a golf tournament in South Carolina with my lawyer and 15 guys. I have no idea who they are, right? Now, my lawyer, I'm going through a divorce. The lawyer says, I know you play golf. We need a 16th guy to make the 4 foursomes. I said, cool. But I don't know anybody else. So I go down there, and he puts me in a room with this stiff, right? With this fucking gynecologist or some shit. But a real stiff. I mean, I can tell he's one of these, my siblings said this, and the kind of guy who gets out of a shower to piss.
Yeah.
Like a real bullshit on. And I'm with this guy, and I know he's a stiff, but so I get to South Carolina, and I'm looking through the phone book because I'm on vacation, I'm on holiday, and I always call hookers when I'm on holiday. In them days, I used to call a lot of hookers. So I'm going through, and there's page after page after page of fucking hookers in South Carolina, right around Myrtle Beach. And it's all like the 19th hole, and this kind of shit, like for golfers. But I can't believe it. It's like, so I said to this guy, whatever the hell his name was, Leonard, I think it was. I say, Leonard, let's look at this shit. I said, can you believe all these pages of hookers? I said, what is this, like the Bible Belt? There's this Bangkok. I mean, I can't believe this, right? So he says, you don't use those services, do you? He gives me one of these who farted looks. Like, I like occasionally. Like I do occasionally. I said, I'm going to call one. You want to hook it? No. So I call up this chick. I says, look, that's right, room 404, Fred, My name's Fred. Holiday Inn, right? So I called the chick, how much? $100, whatever it was. So now I'm on the bed. I'm on my boxer shorts and knock on the door about an hour later, real syrupy voice. Hello? The door open. Is Fred there? Are you Fred? So this guy Leonard says, No, I'm not Fred. Fred is over there on the bed. So I've never been in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina before, but the chick walks into the room and she takes one. She goes, Billy O'Connor, holy shit! What are you doing here? I said, what am I doing here? What are you doing here? Shane. She goes, I'm selling my ass. She goes, what are you doing here? I said, I guess I'm buying it. So anyway, we go through this whole rigmarole. And I go back to New York and I'm telling my bookmaker friend Blinky, I said, Blinky, can you believe this shit? I've never been in South Carolina in my life, right? I call a fucking hooker and I know her. I said, what's the odds? He says, with you, I make it even money.
That's pretty funny.
True story.
Yeah, you're almost as bad as the guy that's getting up talking about his flights in World War II. And he was in the German theater, and he's talking to this ladies' auxiliary of the VFW and all this stuff, and all women sitting in the audience, and he says, "Yeah, we were just getting over Germany, and these fuckers got in behind us." And after he said that, this lady got up and said, "Ladies, for the record, a Fokker is a type of aircraft." And he interrupted her and said, "No, ma'am, the aircraft's from Messerschmitts. These fuckers are guns."
I like that fucking bit about the Falkland Islands, too, right? Professor, what Falkland Islands? The Falkland Islands, there's only one Falkland. There's Falkland Islands all over the place. Like the Hawaiian fucking islands, Gilligan's fucking islands. There are all kinds of fucking islands.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Thanks so much, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Hit him straight, brother.
Hit him less often than you did today. All right. Thanks, Joe.
You're out.
You're out.
You're
out.
So we've done it again. We've
It's
done
another one of the books, huh?
We've done a nice little segment on Billy's return to stand-up comedy.
Billy's humble return.
Billy's humble return to stand-up comedy, and we have
50 people. 50 of them.
Every place you look, they were fine. You can fit me.
You don't jump at my feet.
All right, folks. Thanks so much.
All right.
Be well. Have a good day. And
thanks for looking in. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Derek.
You're out.
You're out.
Next week's guest, actor, comedian, Tom Arnold. We'll see you next week.